Hello everybody, my name's DeadshotDiazoh and welcome to the first ever video I've actually got up of Black Ops 2 multiplayer. Now, some of you guys don't actually have Black Ops 2 yet, which I'm very surprised about because some of you are real hardcore gamers like a boss. But this, as you probably guessed from the title, is actually how to become a Call of Duty commentator. Because a lot of people actually don't quite know how people like T Martin and Ali A actually got big on YouTube. And overall, I'm going to give you guys a few tips, a few tricks of the trade that some people actually use and would consider quite decent tips to help you get yourself on the way. So without further ado, let's begin. Oh, actually, quickly, I did just want to remind you guys, or not necessarily remind you, but tell you the class I'm using. I'm currently using the Vector Silence with Fast Mag. It's a very, very incredible class. Actually, this I would definitely recommend using it. It really does. It stays steady on aim and generally puts down a high rate of fire in close quarter combat situations. So I definitely recommend using it. But without further ado, let's do this. So what is it first? You've got to ask yourself, what is it first you want to do? Are you the guy to go for tutorial gameplays? Are you the guy to go for high kills or high score streaks? Are you the guy to possibly do gameplay based around, I don't know, potentially not necessarily tutorials, but maybe a dual con system with Call of Duty? You know, maybe that's your style. Maybe you want to try something different. You want to enter the market differently. It's completely up to you. You got to ask yourself this, because ultimately the content that you're going to be putting out will reflect a lot about actually who you are and what you're planning to do on YouTube. So first off, there's some basic things you need to know. You want to be able to beat the competition. Okay, you've got massive competition out there of all different levels and styles, whether it be huge YouTubers or tiny YouTubers. I say tiny, but I mean, you know, the levels of content they're putting out can either be good or bad. Because don't ever let anybody tell you that what the game you're playing is stupid or bad, or the gameplay you've got is rubbish, because ultimately that is not what you want to do. What you actually want to do is first off make sure that the gameplay you've got is relevant. Okay, you do not want to be talking about hardcore gameplay when you are possibly playing Search and Destroy. Okay, you want to try and put something in there that is relevant for the community to watch, because ultimately you are demonstrating a game that they will eventually be playing, and they're going to be looking at your video potentially for some form of help and tips on it, so they want to see it in action. Also, if you want to talk a lot about yourself in terms of, you know, what you plan to do on YouTube if you're just starting up, that can always be helpful, because it gives gives people ideas about what you're trying to do with the first person shooters you're playing. So for example, if I was a newly starting up YouTuber and I wanted to talk about or put a lot of content out based around high score streaks, I would talk a lot about mainly the best score streaks to use, etc., and possibly give tutorials, because at the end of the day there is nothing stopping you from doing tutorials at the same time as getting high rounds. But you do want to make sure that the gameplay therefore you are getting is relevant. You don't want to have how to get high score streaks when you don't get any high score streaks. So technically that's the reason why I don't necessarily do it, because I'm not a particularly good Call of Duty player. But the gameplay I've actually got today is something that I got mainly just because I thought it was fun, and that's another point I want to come on to. The gameplay that you've got to have is got to be fairly entertaining. It's got to be quite fun packed. You don't want to have a gameplay, of course, that is like Search and Destroy where you're dying first time every round and generally you get like a 0 to 9 KD, because ultimately you won't really get known for not necessarily being good at the game, but also having badly entertaining commentaries. Like, they're not going to be very entertaining. So that's a couple of tips then. Getting actually back to the way who you are in general, like your personality, because that is a massive factor when commentating. I like to think of commentaries as a 50-50 based thing, if not 75-25, because 75% or 50% of it is going to actually be your commentary. Your commentary is going to be what intrigues people. Your personality is going to be what draws them to your videos every single time you put one out. And ultimately, of course, some people will watch for the gameplay, but that's not to say that they can't just go and get the game and watch it and play it for themselves, or potentially watch another video of a competition. So of course that is something you need to put into practice. Who are you? You know, what are you doing differently? Is there anything you're doing differently? There's nothing wrong with doing the same thing as others. It just necessarily means you may not flourish on YouTube as fast, but you may be trying to play the safe route. You may be trying to be like someone else. And that is a very, very fine line that I want to initiate, well, not initiate, but obviously put out in this video, is sort of say, don't be like someone else, okay? You can follow the lines of someone else. You can think, okay then, well, they're fairly professional, so I'll try and be fairly professional. But as I say, there is a very fine line between this. obviously you don't want to be putting out gameplay that is exactly the same as someone else, okay? Now, because obviously gameplay is all going to be different, but it's the same thing with commentary, okay? You do not want to be pretending to be like someone else. I'm going to put it out there because some people believe, obviously, that some people act like Syndicate, T. Martin, you know, all these big Call of Duty commentators, first-person players. That is something actually that is completely stupid, okay? Be yourself. That is the most important thing I can possibly tell you guys. Being yourself is the most important thing, because ultimately, if you are trying to make it in the world of YouTube and you're trying to be successful on YouTube, the only way you're going to be successful is by being yourself, because you can't keep up an act forever, okay? I'm just going to put it out simply, and then I'm just going to show you something really stupid right there, okay? I don't know quite how I didn't get that kill, but I'm probably going to get, like, God knows how many dislikes, because that was terrible. And so there we go, just some unprofessional. But, nevertheless, we must move on. So, what is it therefore that you can otherwise, if you're being yourself and your gameplay is good and you're saying, yeah, you know what, actually I think I can do this now, haha, not too fast. Obviously, I'm really trying to encourage the community to grow, especially with Call of Duty, because funnily enough, some people say that Call of Duty is outdated and done, but I never think like that. There's no point in thinking like that. You need to think positively and think graciously about certain things in markets, because of course there's always something different to do, always. So ultimately then, you want to make sure that what you're doing then is relevant, so your gameplay is relevant, your commentary is relevant, and you are being yourself. Because ultimately there are some commentators out there who actually do genuinely try to be like other people. I don't know whether anybody saw about the incident a while back where I believe it was Raw Instinct was trying to be like T. Martin or something and putting out all the same stuff. I'm not putting any views out there about it. I'm just using it as an example to demonstrate to you guys why it's potentially not a very good idea to try and be like someone else. So now that we've got that out of the way, while this game is casually going to come to a close, well, it's a little bit yet, but I did actually want to talk about what sort of commentator are you going to be. Are you going to be a professional commentator? Are you going to be, mainly we see professional commentators be professional and tutorial type gameplays, and that's something that obviously is quite important, because of course you're giving a tutorial and you want it to be professional, mainly because otherwise the person isn't really going to actually see you as a very reliable source of information. And, you know, of course you want to be a reliable source of information, especially if you're putting out tutorial videos. So I'd say be professional if you're trying to do tutorial videos, but also try and be yourself. So if you are naturally a wacky guy, try and be as professional as you can, but also try and spread yourself out and spread your wings when it comes to commentaries, because you never want to act like someone you're not, as I said earlier. So but however, if you're putting out, I don't know, let's plays of games, let's plays of first-person shooter games, or maybe even just a random live commentary or something like that you're doing on a game, and you are simply just reacting to situations around you, feel free to act however you want. It is you are the one playing the game, you are the one that they are watching. And ultimately, you should always feel like you should be able to act like you want, really. This game is now actually coming to a close. I didn't actually say anything about the gameplay itself, so I know that some of you guys are going to be like, well, how many kills did you get? And ultimately, to be honest, I don't really care, okay? It's not about the kills, it's about how entertaining the gameplay is. So, there we go. To round off, I guess, I haven't really made this very professional myself, but to round off then, you want to make sure the gameplay is relevant, the commentary is relevant, you yourself are being yourself and not trying to act like someone else. You want to try and make sure that the commentary style you're using fits the type of video that you're actually trying to put out there, and generally you are putting out a video in all that is well edited with good quality and that captures the audience attention and retains it, because you want them to return. So thank you very much for watching this video, guys. My name's DeadshotDiazoh. If you guys do want to hit the like button or the subscribe button, I'd really appreciate it, but you know, it's up to you. So thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned, stay epic.